Hey barbecue family, Kenyatta Robinson here. Welcome back to my Backyard Smokemaster Barbecue channel. Recently my wife and I ate dinner for the first time at Morton Steakhouse. My wife had something that Morton calls a bacon steak, which essentially is a pork belly that has been sliced into extra thick pieces, much thicker than the thick cut bacon that you might buy at a supermarket. I've seen videos on YouTube of guys smoking pork bellies like they would smoke a brisket. After eating at Morton's, I was inspired to give this a try, so today I'm filming myself smoking a pork belly like a brisket for the first time and sharing the experience, good and bad, with you all. I use mayo for the binder and a combination of kosher salt and coarse black pepper for the rub. Alright barbecue family, so we've got the smoker at about 240 degrees and I'm good with it being anywhere between 225 and 275. I'm gonna go ahead and get this pork belly on the smoker, let it do its thing. Right. So what I want to do today is similar to a brisket. At the end of the cook, I want it to be probe tender, so it'll probably need to get to around 203 degrees to be probe tender. But I do have some decisions. Now normally with a brisket, let me close this up. So normally with a brisket, you know, what I would do is I would smoke it, you know, let it take on all that smoke flavor. So that's gonna keep it on the grill until it gets to around 165, maybe 170, somewhere in there. That's when your brisket is no longer gonna take on smoke flavor. And at that point, I could decide to wrap it in pink butcher paper. Some people like to use aluminum foil, but I think butcher paper will give you a better bark at the end of the day. So I have a decision. Do I want to smoke this pork belly until it gets to around 165, 170? Should I wrap it? I think some of the others who have done this video on YouTube have been wrapping it. I'm not quite sure if that is really necessary with a pork belly. You know, it's not, I don't know, it's just not the same type of connective meat tissue as a brisket. So I'm not sure yet. When I get to that point, I'll make up my mind whether or not I want to wrap it. So I may or may not wrap this pork belly, but I do want to take it, like I said, until it gets to be probe tender. And I'm thinking that'll probably be around the 203 degree range, somewhere in there. So at some point I am going to stick my meter wireless thermometer into the pork belly slab, just so I can monitor the internal temp. But otherwise, we're just going to let it go on the smoker. I may come back and spritz it a couple of times with water after it's been on the smoker for a couple of hours. Just kind of want to see how this goes. So never done this particular type of cook before, so this is a learning process for me. And basically a lot of things in barbecue, you know, you make decisions as things go. So kind of have an idea of what I may or may not do, but I'll make a final decision when I get to that point. So we'll come back, take a look at how this pork belly is doing after maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours on the smoker. All right guys, so as a reminder, the LSG comes with a griddle top that you can use to warm sauces, make sausages. You know, you can cook on this thing. Some people I've seen use it, you know, to heat up their wood. I've taken to putting my wood inside of the firebox to get it nice and warm. But from time to time, when I'm doing a long cook like this, I'll make myself some breakfast. So we're gonna do some scrambled eggs and make it into a nice egg sandwich. Breakfast sandwich in no time. What do you think about that, guys? I could have gone deluxe and maybe added some bacon or sausage, but I'm pretty hungry. This will tide me over until the pork belly is done. All right, guys, the pork belly's been on for 2 hours, so let's get our first look at it. Coming along pretty nicely. I really didn't know what to expect. You definitely can see that the bark has not really formed. And at this point, from looking at it, I still see a little bit of moisture. So I don't think I need to spritz at this point. So I'm gonna make that decision. We're just gonna let this continue to roll smoke. I think I will go ahead and add my meter probe so I can start monitoring the internal temperature and take things from there. All right, we'll check back later and see how things are coming along. All right, barbecue family, this pork belly has been on the smoker now for about 3.5 hours. According to the meter, the internal temp is 153. So we've still got a ways to go. It's still taking on smoke. I just want to put eyes on it one more time. See if I need to spritz or do anything. So there's another closer look at it. And I just don't think that I need to spritz this pork belly. I think it's coming along just fine. So I'm gonna let it continue to do its thing. A little bit of moisture here, but not a whole lot. So if there was a lot of moisture, pro tip, you can take like a wood chunk and put it underneath the slab, and that'll help the moisture or the liquid, pool and run. That's pooling, get it to run off of the slab. But I don't think I need to do that either. So I'm not going to mess with it. Just going to let it continue to take on smoke. I don't think this needs to be spritzed, so I don't think I'm gonna end up doing that by the time it gets to 170, 165-ish. So that's probably what I'll do. I think I'm just gonna let it continue to roll. I'll come back, take another look when we get to around 165. All right, the pork belly has been on the smoker for 3 hours and 45 minutes, and it's reached an internal temperature of 170 degrees. From looking it over, I've made a decision that I don't need to spritz, and I also don't see the need to wrap this pork belly in butcher paper. So I mean, at 170, it's taken on all the smoke flavor that it's going to. But I don't know, guys. Let me know in the comments if you've ever smoked a pork belly like this. Do you see a benefit to wrapping a pork belly in butcher paper? It's just not, I don't know, it's not apparent to me. So I'm not going to wrap this, not going to spritz it. We're going to keep smoking it at around 250 to 275 until we get it probe tender. All right, barbecue family, we are 7.5 hours into this cook, and my meter just gave me a notification that said that the internal temp on the pork belly reached 200 degrees and that it's time to pull it and let it rest. The carryover will take it into the 203 to 205 range that I'm looking for. So we're gonna take a look. Oh yeah. That is a nice looking bark. I really wasn't expecting it. The color, you would have thought that I had added maybe brown sugar to this, but this again is just salt and pepper. And look at how beautiful that color is. Now I'm still gonna do a probe check because I want this to be probe tender. And wow. I mean, that's just going, it's like there's no resistance at all. So it definitely meets the probe test. So I am feeling pretty good about going ahead and pulling this off of the smoker. So let me get in here. So that liquid is cooling off. Wow. So that's what we're looking at after 7.5 hours on the stick burner. I didn't mention it earlier, but I was using a combination of maple and hickory wood. All right, we're gonna get this in the house, gonna let it rest. Now, unlike a brisket, so maybe I should call this video, you know, pork belly like a brisket, sort of, because I don't think I need to let this rest the same way that you would with a brisket, where you want that liquid, those juices, you know, to calm down inside of the meat and recirculate. Not the same type of situation when you're dealing with bacon or when you're dealing with pork belly. So we don't need to let this rest for an hour, 2 hours. Just gonna let this rest for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then I'm gonna slice into it and see what we got. All right, barbecue family, so we have let this pork belly rest. Like I said, I am really happy with the way this looks. And again, this is the fat side. This is the fat side up that we're looking at right here. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut into this. Like I said, it's probe tender. Oh yeah. Give me a better look. And that is extremely juicy as well. I think I may have to get a different knife for this, but there's a look here, right? And this is the meat side. All right, so kind of like what you might do with a brisket, you know, see, get a feel for how tender that is. Tender. Pulls apart. Guess there's nothing left to do but to taste it, right? Sorry guys, I'm cooking, slicing, filming, trying to do all of this myself, so I'm gonna have to taste it off camera. Wow. That bacon flavor is really strong, super tender. A lot of fat. A lot of fat in there from that fat cap. Really flavorful, guys. All right, let me try and get myself at least in one of these shots. It's hard to describe. It's like a bacon overload sensation because I'm cutting these thicker than the bacon you would get from the store. And you just get a lot of a true bacon flavor. And I guess that's why Morton's calls it a bacon steak. Because that's exactly what this is. It's thick like a steak, and it's just a whole lot of bacon goodness. And again, this is just seasoned with salt and pepper. I imagine you can do a whole lot of different things. I think Morton's has a bourbon, some type of a bourbon glaze that they use. And I can picture doing just a variety of different glazes if you wanted to layer on different flavors. But this is a hit. If you love bacon, guys, you gotta give this a shot. I thought bacon burnt ends were really good. But this, I mean, just with the salt and pepper, it's so much of a powerful bacon taste. You know, I'm really kind of blown away. All right, guys, so I wish Janine was here to let you see her reaction to this, because she's a big bacon fan and she had the bacon steak at Morton's. But unfortunately, she's not here right now. But trust me, this is a winner, and I'm confident that she's gonna be really happy with this. So again, this is super simple. We just got a slab of pork belly, picked that up at Costco. Didn't do anything to it. I didn't bother trimming any of the fat or anything like that. Just seasoned it with salt and pepper. Got it out on the smoker with a stick burner, cooked it fat side up. Again, tried to keep my temperature between 225 and 275. I think most of the time I was in the 240 range, so that worked out really well. You know, monitored the cook throughout and ultimately decided spritzing wasn't necessary, wrapping wasn't necessary, just let it go. Took it all the way up to 200 degrees internal. It was probe tender. Let it rest for about 15 minutes, sliced into it, big hit. So again, do yourself a favor if you love bacon. Again, this is a simple recipe to do, and this is gonna be a surefire hit. As always, I appreciate your ongoing support for the channel. Please leave comments, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell so you get notifications of when I drop new videos. Once again, this is Kenyatta Robinson. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.